It is Manchester Derby weekend, and I'm pretty sure we'll actually get our rivalry bout this match day. Both clubs are coming in unusually battered and broken, with City having lost in the midweek, and several times before that, and United only having a win over Everton to show for their managerial change. Will either side emerge from the Emirates with a smile on their face? We'll predict who will be laughing come Monday, today on Coffee with a Kick. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Coffee with a Kick. Let me do that one more time with a little bit more enunciation. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Coffee with a Kick, rather than that mush-mouth nonsense that I began this with. Coming in with an erudite diction and clear enunciation, okay? Going to maintain this the entire episode. Sibilant S's and tight T's. That's what I'm going for in this one. Aren't you glad that you're here today, everyone? How are you doing there, Keegan? How's it going? And immediately it's gone.
Hopefully it's going to go better this match weekend. I think there are some tasty matchups for sure. I mean, we got a Manchester Derby to talk about. That's going to be important.
Yeah.
So, I say we get into it.
Let's get right into it then.
Game on Saturday.
Yep, beginning on Saturday with if they don't get postponed again, Everton this time goes to Arsenal in the capital city to take on the Gunners. How do you have this one going? I'll let you kick this weekend off.
This one's kind of awkward for me because you have a team at Everton who hasn't played in 2 weeks. And you have a team like Arsenal who played midweek, weekend, midweek, playing again in the weekend. And I believe Arsenal played on Wednesday in the Champions League. I could be mistaken. But either way, they played in the midweek. They're a team that, again, it's been just game after game after game after game. It feels like the last month they played every 3 days. And I think Everton has a shot here to steal a point. I think you've got a tired Arsenal team, an Everton team that's rested, that's coming off of a win two weekends ago, and they're climbing up the table. I mean, if you look at their last 4, out of 12 points previously, they've gotten 5, which doesn't sound like a lot, but for Everton, that's huge.
It's a third of their production this entire season, more than a third.
Yeah, it is. So I think it's going to be a 0-0 draw. I think we're going to see a tired Arsenal team and an Everton team that can hunker down, get a draw at the Emirates.
You can think that all you want. I mean, I still think it's going to be a 2-0 victory for Arsenal. I just don't think Everton's any good. I also need them to stay within striking distance of my Wolves, who are they've got a chance this weekend. That's what I'm going to say. They've got a chance this weekend. We'll get to them in relatively short order. But yeah, I don't think the rest can only overcome so much of a talent deficit, So I think Arsenal still takes it 2-0. Listen, if you get your 0-0 draw or any sort of draw, it's a good point boost for you. It sets you off very nicely for the weekend. But then we go to one that I'm a little bit more adventurous on, mainly because this team has been doing rather well the past couple weeks. Not talking about Liverpool, who has underperformed their season thus far. Liverpool hosts Fulham. And I think that Fulham actually gets a point here away at Liverpool, which is a really good result for them. They managed to get one last week off of Arsenal at home. They gave that one away a little bit. But I think this one they go in and they fight and they get a 1-1 draw against Liverpool to continue Liverpool's winter of faltering.
Yeah, I'm going to do you one better. I think Fulham's going to win 2-1. I think Fulham has been playing very well.
They have.
We look at their table position. If you look at their last 12, they've also gotten 5 out of 12, but they've gotten 8 out of 15. They're playing well. They've gone in these big games. They've actually kept up with teams. So I think they get all 3 points.
I think that's just a step too far. They're hanging with the big boys in draws, and it does look a little bit more like that 4-1 loss to my Wolves was a fluke. But 2-1, it's bold. I'll grant you that. If you hit both of these, man, whew, I hope you put down you're going to pay your whole mortgage. You're going to pay your month's mortgage with this week of results. If you hit both of those. But But yeah, we'll move from Liverpool and Fulham to, these first couple matches here aren't exactly close. This one is Newcastle and Leicester City.
Yeah.
I mean, Newcastle we've talked about in the recent weeks of being a very volatile squad. Just not knowing, kind of like they've taken over the Chelsea role a little bit, where you never know who they're going to be. And I think they've been down and not very good the past. Well, they drew Liverpool 3-3, and then lose 4-2 to Brentford. I think they're back up in this one. They've got a little bit of a lesser side. You have to be worried about them playing down to the talent a little bit, which is kind of what their trap has been. But I think they have managed to overcome that at home at St. James's Park and take it 2-1.
I think I'm going to do you one better. I think Leicester, they win it 2-1.
Oh, okay.
I think Newcastle has been, again, they've been volatile. They've not been a team that you think is going to be on top of things. And their form at home hasn't been amazing either. They drew Liverpool at home. They lost to West Ham 2-0 at home. They surprised everyone with beating Arsenal 1-0 at their place. But then they lose to Brighton 1-0 before that. Tie Man City. So they haven't been good at home this season. They've been better away from home this season. So I think Leicester, with their new manager having 4 points out of the last 6, I think they go in there and get 3 points.
Wow. I mean, you are swinging for the fences here, my lad. That is, if you get all of those right for our units here, that's 30 units. More than 30 units across those 3 picks if they all hit, which I highly doubt. And then I'll let you start off here with Wolves versus Ipswich Town. I would say a must-win for maybe both sides.
Yeah, Wolves historically have a very good record versus Ipswich Town, but never in the Premier League. This is the first time they've ever played each other in the Premier League. It's going to be tough because Ipswich don't do well away from home, especially apparently at Wolves. They've only won just 1 out of 16 away league games against Wolverhampton ever, which obviously time will tell. It's 2024. Those things happened a long time ago. But Wolverhampton have shipped in 34 home goals in 16 games. So when they're at home, they score. They scored a clip of over 2 goals a match. I think that continues. I think they win 2-1 versus Ipswich. I think Ipswich puts up a fight, but I think Wolves can get it done because they do play much better at home.
Well, I'll do you one better and say that it's going to be 3-2 with both of those goals coming off of set pieces for Ipswich Town, because that's what the Wolves do. But yeah, I really do think that they need to get this one because we've looked at their schedule coming up, and it's brutal coming up here shortly. So get the points while you can to try to stave off total decimation until you hit that end of season stretch that we've talked about, where they may have the easiest last 2 months of the season across the entire Premier League. I haven't looked at all the schedules in that much detail, but it looked like a pretty good shot at having some points available there.
Well, then think about it though. If they're playing those easy teams, those teams are also fighting. So it's like it might be easy, but then reality sets in for those teams that if we don't win a couple of these now, we're going to be out. Yeah, so relatively speaking, no top 6, I think, because we did the math. It was like you're playing 7 of the top 8 teams within a 10-week span. So it's easy in that sense for sure.
Yeah, easier for sure. Yeah, definitely. And then we go to Nottingham Forest hosting Aston Villa. This is a pretty even match as far as our units are concerned here. Nottingham Forest has outperformed, it's certainly our opinion of them here this season. Aston Villa has underperformed it. Do you think either of them changes the perception in this one?
I think Nottingham has a chance to be at home and continue their good run of form. I think they're going to win 2-1. Aston Villa's been on a good streak, 6 points out of 6 the last 2 matches. But if they don't start well, Aston Villa has not been a team to finish well. Outside the Champions League, not been a team to finish well. So I'm going to go Nottingham. I think they get 2 early goals, first half goals. Villa gets one back in the second, but I think it ends 2-1 Nottingham.
Yeah, it is a strange thing to point out that Aston Villa is doing quite well in the Champions League and not as well in the Premier League, which is kind of the opposite of what we had predicted here at the beginning of the year. We thought that actually everything would kind of be drugged down by the extra matches, but they're on 13 points out of 18 in the Champions League and in 6th in the Premier League. I agree with you here. I've got it with more fireworks though. I've got 4-2 victory for Nottingham Forest over Aston Villa. I just think if you're going to score a couple against Emi Martinez, at least make it not even close to a clean sheet at this point. Just
at this point, we're rooting against the clean sheets. We want to be that bad, far off.
It's either clean sheets or 17 goals conceded. All right, I either want it to be perfect or terrible. That's what I want. No middle ground. No, it's okay. I want either a total success or a horrendous failure. That's what I'm looking for at this point.
Yeah.
So there we go. And then we go to Brighton Hove Albion hosting Crystal Palace. Another bird fight in our hands here, everybody. But this one, Crystal, I can't get a good pick on them. What I need to do here soon is see how we're matching up as far as what teams are doing for our picks. You know, I've done it. I did it last season where we see which of our teams we're doing best on and whatnot. Because I feel like I've been missing Crystal Palace because I can't get them pegged. That being said, I do think that they will lose to Brighton at the Amex this weekend with a 3-1 score line. That's what I'm going for here. And I will get back to you on how we're doing for each individual team.
Yeah, interesting stat for this one.
Ooh.
Only Brentford have both scored and conceded in more matches in the Premier League than Brighton Hove Albion since the start of last season. Brentford scored or conceded in 38 matches, Brighton in 37. And a more recent stat, they've done it in 10 of their last 11 matches and each of their last 7. So I think Crystal Palace gets goals in this one. Brighton cannot stop anyone. I feel horrible for any goalkeeper on their team because you sign the contract which says I'm signing knowing that I will let goals in. That's what it seems like. I think it goes 2-2. Crystal Palace have been playing better. Brighton's been playing decent as well. Crystal Palace, I think they're going to slowly start getting the juices flowing again. So I'm going to go 2-2 draw.
Yeah, Crystal's better than they are than 17th. I mean, what they've still got good players on their team. They just can't seem to put it all together there. Still only is that no. I was looking at the wrong column there.
It's kind of like when you're a parent and your kid does something that you're like, you know better. They don't actually know better because they did it again. That's kind of how Crystal Palace is. Like, we know you're better than this, but are you? And that's what we're kind of figuring out so far this season.
I mean, their attacking side is definitely better than tied for second fewest goals so far this season. They're only on 14 goals total this season.
But 15 matches in, can we really say they are that much better? Yeah, it's starting to become a trend where it's like maybe they just are that bad.
Maybe they aren't working together well. Maybe who did they? Not Jean-Philippe. He's still on the team. Who was the other one?
Shipped off Elise.
Yes, Michael Elise. I guess he made all the difference in the glue there.
Apparently.
But going up there, I was looking through the. I don't know. Aston Villa's at 0 goal difference. Yeah, whatever. What you said 2-2. Yes, and then to the Manchester Derby. I will let you talk about this.
Manchester Derby, what can you say except both these teams coming in at poor form? This is going to be the lowest Man U has ever been in the table for a Manchester Derby. Mm-hmm. Fun fact for that. Man U have also lost each of their last 3 Premier League away games against City by conceding 13 goals in the process. Ooh. So 4 goals a game when they play at Manchester City. City surprisingly have conceded at least twice in 7 of their last 11 games. So not doing too great on the defensive end. So it's going to be an interesting fight because Man U have a new manager who they won that one game. And since then, they have not been able to figure out how to win. Yeah. They won in Europe as of Thursday. So we'll see what that does to their psyche. But this will be the game their manager has come in to go in and win.
Mm-hmm.
City, I think this could be the game that like really kickstarts everything, because you kind of need those rivalry matches to re-spark the passion, the vigor. And Pep will tell them, look, at the very least, we've been playing so bad, we have to win the Manchester derby.
Yeah.
If we lose this, we just look so poor, so bad. And I think I want to give City the win so bad. I really do. But given their run of form recently, I'm still going to give them the win. 3-1, Man City takes the cake. Haaland scores twice. Foden gets a goal. And we take it at the Etihad. That's all I have.
You had me going. Yeah, I thought you were going to pick a draw or something. I've got them winning as well. I've got it as 2-1. I think they barely squeak it out. Or let's see. I'm trying to think if I think it'll be a 1-1 match for like a really tense 1-1 for a long time, or if it's more along the lines of like a 76-minute goal by Manchester United to bring it to 2-1, and then it's a very tense last quarter of the match, or a little bit more than a quarter of a match, with Manchester United really pressing. Either way, I think it's going to end 2-1 with City coming out on top. They really do need it. I mean, they're in fourth, so it's like, historically, City has been terrible. It's just in recent memory. They got some recency bias for those of you who have not followed the Premier League for a while, that City has become such a powerhouse. What about 12 years ago, you'd have been very happy in fourth? Is that about right?
Well, 2011, 2012 was when we won the Premier League. But yeah, I mean, you go back, I'd say 15 years. 15 years we were battling. We're mid-table team.
Yeah.
Sometimes creeping up there, sometimes not. 2008, 2009 was when the takeover happened. And we really started to see the fruits of that in 2011 when we won the FA Cup. Then 2011-12 won the Premier League. But you're right. I mean, City just 24 years ago was not even in the Premier League. Yeah. So, yeah, the recency bias definitely there of, boy, we're playing terrible. When really it's like every team goes through a slump. I don't like it as a fan, but you kind of got to get the grand picture in mind of we have won 4 straight titles, won a Champions League in there, several FA Cups. I shouldn't be, hitting my head against the wall because we've had some great times.
Yep, and we hope they continue, but you got some work to do this season. Then we go to Chelsea and Brentford. I think Chelsea's in a good form right now, obviously. I think they've won their last 4 matches right now. Yeah, won their last 4 matches by, let's see, a combined total of, they've scored 4, 9, 12. They've scored 14 goals in their last 4 matches. So I think they continue that scoring clip here against a team that doesn't score as much and takes a 4-1 victory at home against Brentford.
One stat that is kind of silly is Brentford have won all 3 of their Premier League away games at Chelsea.
Wow. That's
Never
weird.
lost. Only Leeds United between 1973 and 1991 had more, and that was 6. So very strange stats that kind of give some voodoo to the match a little bit. I don't think that stands up. I think it's 4-2 Chelsea over Brentford. I think it's going to be a goal fest. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah. Maybe not almost to the level of the 4-3 last week from Tottenham and Chelsea, but nearly there.
Here's one more stat here I'll throw out about this one. Chelsea have scored 35 goals this season in the Premier League. 23 of them have been away from home. They've only scored 12 at home.
Interesting.
Brentford are the highest scoring Premier League. They're the highest Premier League scorers in home games, 26. So both teams, Brentford likes being at home. Chelsea doesn't like being at home.
So you're saying if we were at Brentford, this would be like a 6-5 match, is what you're saying. I think that's what you're saying. Yeah.
At Brentford, this would be the highest scoring match in Premier League history.
Probably. So.
I still think it'll be a lot of goals, but I don't know. I'm going to stay with 4-2. but I'll put it on record that I think it might be like a 2-1 as well. But 4-2 is my pick. 4-2.
4-2. And then we go to Southampton hosting Tottenham Hotspur. Tottenham was part of that 7-goal match, goal extravaganza from last week. Southampton doesn't really score that much. Let's see. Do they have 9 goals so far this year? No, they have 11 now. That's right. They have 11 now. So I think if we go back 3 match days, 7 goals would have equaled Southampton for the entire season up to that point. So I think this one is a 3-0 victory for Tottenham. I don't think Southampton even scores.
Yeah, I have it 3-1. Tottenham's defense has not been amazing this season. I mean, only 19 goals, which is in the higher half of teams.
Yeah.
But I think recently they've been kind of in a slump. Like, people are knocking City for being in a slump. But outside of Tottenham's lone win 4 weeks ago, they've been abysmal. So I think it's 3-1. Southampton scores. I don't think it's going to be much of a match. But I do think Southampton has played decent versus the bigger sides. They haven't won any, but they played pretty well in some of them.
Wait, so was that 3-1 Southampton?
Tottenham.
Oh, okay.
No. Southampton will lose.
If it's 3-1 Southampton, I think we might lose our Kiwi. I think we might lose the Kiwi if it's a 3-1 loss for against Southampton at Southampton.
I mean, I should. I might as well keep up the what? I'm going to change it to 1-0 Southampton. You convinced me. On record, 1-0 Southampton. Postecoglou gets axed after this week.
No.
You heard it here first.
No. Oh, I can't believe you guys. You let down the captain.
The Holy Ghost of Diego Maradona has spoken. 1-0. Saints over the Spurs.
Incredible. The scenes. And then we wrap up the weekend on Monday with Bournemouth hosting West Ham. How do you have this one going?
You saying the scenes? I was thinking, do you think they would storm the pitch if they won 1-0? Like college basketball in America, just storm the court.
Just a random weekend. Just a random weekend in December against Tottenham.
Storm the pitch. That'd be great. No, Bournemouth, West Ham. West Ham's been pretty volatile. Bournemouth been okay at home.
Yeah.
I think they actually play. What was the stat I saw? They've beaten 4 of the top 6 teams at home. I really saw they had beaten like Chelsea, Arsenal maybe at home. Like they
beat City and Arsenal.
Yeah, City at home. Like when Bournemouth is at home, they don't even score a lot. They're almost like Aston Villa last season. Yeah. Like they just win 1-0, 2-0, 2-1. So I'm going to go a 2-0 victory over West Ham. Like I think that they're going to continue it at home. Like that's been a fortress. And it seems like there's no stopping it. And it's really going to help them in the table.
Yeah.
Because they get a win there. They are, my little app here doesn't want to scroll on the standings here, but they'll be in a good position. They'll be in 8th. So if they win, they could jump all the way to 5th.
They could be in Europe. They could be going to Europe.
Depending on how the other results go. So I think there's a good chance. They've been playing well. 3 straight wins. I think it goes 4 straight wins for Bournemouth. 2-0.
I'm right there with you. I've got it as a 1-0 victory, so very much that same vein. West Ham, yeah, they've had their ups, they've had their downs. They're currently they're not scoring a lot currently. I mean, they haven't scored more than 2 goals in a match since what? Let's see. Have they even scored more than 2 this entire? Oh, they scored 4 against Ipswich Town back in Matchday 7. Since then, they've scored 1, 2, 0, 0.
Is this Bournemouth?
2. Yeah, this is West Ham. 2.
Yeah, West Ham, yeah.
1 and 2. So they're not scoring very much right now, and yeah, Bournemouth has been pretty good at home. So I think that they take it 1-0 and really put some upwards pressure on the European spots. That it's still very tight in there once you get past 3rd. It's very tight there all the way through 8th, 4th through 8th. It's all within 1 week. It could all flip and change and rearrange itself. So that is the tale that we have predicted for match week 16. Make sure that you check out our Champions League recap episode and table recap, because we've got a break going through to January at this point for the last 2 match days of the Champions League. That'll be coming out later today. And until we see you then, make sure that you like and subscribe and go to the Substack and all of that cool stuff. And until we get over there, why don't you go ahead and grab some coffee, watch some soccer, and we'll see you on the other side. Auf Wiedersehen. Little German boys, auf Wiedersehen.
Jeez.
That one I do say correct. I have a German minor.